Hey everyone, Matt from MTG here. Welcome to today's video. I hope you all had a very merry Christmas and got all the MTG delights that you really so desired, and basically, you know, just had a lot of fun with all your family and friends if you could. We knew it was a little bit harder this Christmas, but I really did, you know, I really do hope you had a really good time, as best as you can anyway. But today we're going over my top 10 best cards, standard cards that is, from 2020. Now, these are going to be my personal favourites. I think they, you know, all were pretty powerful as well, but these were definitely the cards that I loved playing with. These are from the sets that were from 2020, so it's Theros Beyond Death, Ikoria, or even Ikoria Lair of Behemoths, Core Set 2021, and Zendikar Rising. Now, first of all, we're going to get straight into the video. I'm going to give you some honourable mentions that didn't quite make my top 10, but were still pretty decent, shall we say. Starting off with Elsbeth's Conqueror's Death there, and as you can see as well, I've got Elder Gargaroth, and I've also got Crystalline Giant. Now, all three of these were really good cards for me. ECD is just such a powerful saga. It was really cool. Getting something back from your graveyard, potentially you get a Planeswalker that gets killed straight away, but then you can get it back, exiling that opponent, exiling that permanent as well is really good. Gargaroth, what I mean, it's just an all-star. It's a beast, a 6/6 5-mana beast with Vigilance, Reach, Trample. When it attacks or blocks, you got to choose one of three options. Create a 3/3 green beast token, gain 3 life, or draw a card. And it was when it attacks or blocks. So it was just, to me, it's just an absolutely brilliant card. And for 5 mana, perfect mythic rare. And Crystalline Giant for me was just a really fun card that I personally liked when this was spawned from Ikoria. 3/3, and it was random whatever you would get. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose a kind of counter random. So could have Death Touch, could have Hexproof, Lifelink, counters. It was just a really fun card that you never really knew what you would get, but all of a sudden this giant could become really powerful. So now we're going to go on to my top 10, and these are going to be in no particular order, but these are the 10 best cards from Standard 2020 for me. First off, we're starting off with Mazemind Tomb. Now, you watch the videos, if it's your first time here, I always say how great this card is. I put it in control decks, I put it everywhere. Mazemind Tomb for 2 mana, goes in most of my EDH decks as well now. Put a page counter on it, scry 1, pay 2, put a page counter on it, draw a card, and then you get the ability of when there are 4 or more page counters on it, you exile it and gain 4 life. This card just does so much for you. For 2 mana, it's really good. Now, I'm sure there's a lot stronger cards in maybe Commander that could take that space, but for me, it's still really good. And in Standard, getting to do this, playing this turn 2, then sorting out your draws, or potentially getting that extra draw of a card is just really strong. Put it on the end of the opponent's end step, get the scry ability, potentially then you could scry then your upkeep as well. Mazemind Tomb, really cool card. The next one is Yorion. Now, a lot of people hate Yorion, but for me, what a card. I built so many Yorion decks. You can just have so much fun with this deck. Yorion, 4/5 flyer, which is just big anyway, but you use it as the companion. Now, even though they nerfed the companion, this one, along with Loras and maybe a Bosch occasionally saw some play towards the end of Standard this year, but Yorion has always been there. Your starting deck contains at least 20 cards more than the minimum, so everyone would have 80 card decks. When it ends the battlefield, exiling number of non-land permanents you own and you control, then you get to return them at the beginning of the next end step. Now, these would all have enter the battlefield effects, or it just be you just get value out of Yorion, and then you get a 4/5 flyer as well to beat down, because this was bigger than most flyers that could be put down as well. Yorion, definitely an all-star as a companion, and definitely just even in the deck as part of your 60. Next we go to Felladar Retreat. This is the enchantment that just keeps on giving more just by playing lands. Control decks, you know me, I'm a control mage, but this is just value as well. Like I spoke about Gargaroth, this is real value. Whenever a land is battlefield under your control, choose one, create a 2/2 beast creature token, or put a 1/1 counter on all the creatures you have. So with the multiple ways that you could put lands into play, you know, land magic in 2020 has been huge. Get your cultivate in there, put extra lands in. There's just so many ways that you could put extra lands in and get the value out of this. Get the 2/2 beast, stack it all right, and then just put 1/1 counters on them as well. Felladar Retreat, super strong. 4-mana enchantment that will always have to be dealt with, or because it literally just got out of control. Now we go to one of my mutate creatures now. Auspicious Starix I've seen absolutely go off in Commander, which is hilarious, but in Standard it's still absolutely brilliant. When this creature mutates, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile X permanent cards with X number of times the creature is mutated. Put those permanent cards onto the battlefield. Now, I'm sure you've all got stories about how Starix has just exploded when you get those multiple mutate times going on, and then you just get all these permanents into play. It is so strong. We got rid of one elk, Oko, but then we got the Starix. Now, obviously Starix is not in the Oko kind of power field, but still, for 5 mana, you're getting a 6/6, and then, gets to be mutated, and then who knows what value you will get. Mutating onto the Starix, it's always the first mutating creature that I would like to kill, because you just know you're going to die to it because the value that this elk beast would give. And for me, it is a fun card as well, which is, it goes into, for me, picking the best cards of 2020 from Standard, and Auspicious Starix is definitely up there with the best of them. Now we've got a run of blue cards now, because obviously I'm a blue mage. Teferi's Tutelage, ends the battlefield, draw a card and discard a card. Now I love mill, so whenever you draw a card, target opponent mills 2 cards. I love drawing cards. I'm a real blue mage. This to me is just, it's just amazing. It really is powerful as well. You get one of these on the field, it's great. You get 2 of them on the field, it's the decks, your opponent's decks just go so quick. This is a real good engine. It's a card that you could obviously build around. It really is cool. You can mix it with other colours. You Dimir Mill, you could go Esper Mill, you can go Azorius Mill. Mill came back in 2020, and that is what I love. And it leads on to my next card, which is Ruin Crab. The 1-mana 0/3 little innocuous creature, but whenever a land enters the battlefield, each opponent mills 3 cards. And you've just spoke about all the ways you can go Simic with this route, because all the ways to get extra lands into play, a single Ruin Crab can honestly win the game, and it really does. You get multiple on the field, and it just totally decimates your opponent's library. Ruin Crab, such a strong creature for a 0/3 that can't, it doesn't do any damage, it doesn't do anything else, it just mills your opponent, and it was the perfect combination with Teferi's Tutelage. Probably maybe my favourite card from 2020 is Shark Typhoon. A big 6-mana enchantment, but it does so much more in control decks, in mid-range decks, in spells decks. It just does so much. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is the spell's mana cost, which is really, really strong. But it also had the cycling ability. So you could cycle this, make a big shark if you're cycling it, potentially, and draw a card as well. Instant speed, end of opponent's turn. Perhaps you're going to attack that Planeswalker that's dealing damage. Eugene, I'm thinking of you. Or perhaps you're just going to fly in for the win. It just does so much, Shark Typhoon. Now, apparently, according to the pros, the best way to play it is to cycle it. But for me, I probably spent 90% of my time just putting it on the field because I like to amass sharks. So, I'm probably, it makes me a bad player. But playing it to actually put the XX shark into play with cycling is normally the best way to play it. But for me, I like slamming it down and then just making huge amounts of sharks. We now go on to probably definitely the most powerful flyer from Standard. Can't believe this was never legendary. 2 double white, double blue, 3/5 Sphinx. It's Dream Trawler, flying lifelink, so awkward to deal with. Whenever you draw a card, Dream Trawler gets +1/+0 until end of turn. When it attacks, you draw a card, so it's going to buff up straight away. And then you can give it hexproof by discarding the card and tapping it down. Really hard to deal with. Obviously, mass removal, if you're doing Shatter the Skies or anything like that, would obviously deal with it. But that's practically the only way. Sacrifice, potentially, as well. But there wasn't a great deal of that played in my eyes. But Dream Trawler, beater, absolute beater, and you can have 2 of them on the field. It wasn't legendary. How this wasn't legendary is probably the biggest question of 2020 with Magic 2020 cards. But Dream Trawler, a beater for control, great at the top end if you're playing like a sort of mid-range flyer deck. I've seen people play it in the aggro decks as well, just maybe as a 1 or 2 because it's literally that good. But Dream Trawler, definitely for me, one of the best creatures to come from 2020. Final 2 cards, and we're going Artifact now. Forsaken Monument, a very new card, but still gets in there because it's great. It's so much fun. Standard, I really have been trying to build colourless decks. I love colourless decks, and which is why this made it slightly more possible in Standard. Now, it was more fun brews, I've got to be honest, but still, this is a great card where you look at some of the colourless stuff we get in Standard. So colourless creatures get automatic bump, they get +2/2, which is really big. Now, bear in mind, this is only 5 mana as well. When you tap a permanent, add an extra colours and add an additional colours if you're tapping for colours, and whenever you cast a colourless spell, lots of colourless there, you gain 2 life, and this will really get you back into games. Forsaken Monument, 5 mana, probably more of a, maybe more of an EDH card, but Standard, this is still being played a lot. For the brewers out there that wanted to build those colourless decks, or maybe do colourless black or colourless blue, it's still a very good card. Super powerful and super fun. For me, I like cards like this, and I just really want some more colourless creatures to actually make this the powerhouse it really can be. On to the last card now, and it's Terror of the Peaks. A red card has made my list. It's a 5/4 dragon, and it's just fun personified. Spells your opponent's cast that target Terror of the Peaks cost an additional 3 life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, this is the important part, under your control, Terror of the Peak deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Any target you want. Creatures, planeswalkers, players, Terror of the Peaks, if it can last on the field. And I will give a slight honourable mention as well at the end of the video to the ultimatums, because they were really fun as well. Because you mix this in with Genesis Ultimatum, and all of a sudden you're getting value. If you can, you don't whiff on your Genesis, you get some massive creatures coming in, perhaps even another Terror of the Peaks, and stack it, and then just smash all your opponents. You can actually win off one Genesis. It's been done. Everyone knows they've done it. But Terror of the Peaks, a 5/4 flyer, is great for 5 mana, but those added abilities cost an opponent's life where they might not be able to kill it because they're on such low life is great. And obviously with creatures coming in, you just build around this card and get all those creatures coming in. Once you get Terror of the Peaks down, plenty of ways to get it down early. I've spoke about it. You got your cultivates, your certain mana ramps in there. There's ramp is everywhere in 2020, and this for me from M21 was definitely one of the best cards from that set. So this is my top 10 best Standard cards from 2020. Like I said, personal choices. Some of you may not agree with, some of you just might think, yeah, you're all right there, But these are mine. Put in the comments what yours are. I'd love to know what yours are. If we can smash like 50 likes on this video, perhaps I'll go through my Commander cards and stuff like that. My top 20 from Commander from this year. So we'll be looking at Commander Legends and maybe some other older sets as well. So yeah, let me know in the comments if that's something else you want to see. Give the video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and obviously subscribe if you're new. We're down, I think it's just over 100 to 10,000 subs now. We are getting there. Big shout out for all the extra support from my Patreons. If that's something you're interested, check out the links below. I'll be adding some more rewards to that for the new year, so it's definitely something you want to get into. There's I think there's three different levels there, and one of them you get to play me once a month personally. Wait, that's just great, isn't it? Anyway, you lot take care, and I'll see you on the next video.